They thought they'd seen everything: grenades, bullets, artillery raining from the sky. But this was different. It came slow, heavy, like a steel monster crawling through the smoke, and then dash fire. Not a flicker, not a flame, a jet of liquid. Fire that reached across the battlefield like a living thing. It roared into caves, it flowed through tunnels, it clung to walls, to skin, to screams. 500 Japanese soldiers were waiting, dug deep into the black volcanic rock of Iwo Jima, ready to fight, ready to die. They weren't ready for this. They weren't ready for the Zippo, the deadliest flame tank America ever built. This is the story of steel, fire, and fear, and how one tank turned an entire fortress into a furnace. February 1945. Pacific War is nearing its bloody climax. America has been fighting island by island, each one a stepping stone toward Japan. Now, U.S. forces set their sights on Iwo Jima, a tiny island, just 8 square miles, but it holds something priceless of fields. If America takes them, it can strike the Japanese mainland more easily and more often. But the Japanese know this too. They are ready. Beneath the black volcanic ash, they've built a fortress, 11 miles of tunnels, hidden bunkers, steel doors, mortar pits. No front lines, no open targets, just death waiting underground. The Japanese commander, General Kurabayashi, has ordered his men, do not rush the beach, do not waste your life, make every American pay for every inch. Nearly 21,000 Japanese troops are on the island. They will not surrender. For the Americans, this is no ordinary fight. It's a meat grinder. Days of shelling do nothing. Waves of Marines land, thousands fall. Every cave is a trap. Every hill is a tomb. The Marines soon realize, bullets alone won't win this battle. They need something else, something that can reach into the earth, and burn the war out. The Marines called it Zippo, like the lighter, because once it lit, it didn't stop. But its real name was the M4A3R3, America's deadliest flamethrower tank. It started as an ordinary Sherman tank. Same armor, same treads, same steel shell, but the gun, replaced with a flamethrowed, not a simple one. This was a monster. It could shoot a stream of napalm fire over 150 yards. That's longer than a football field. And the fire wasn't just hot. It stuck, it crawled, it consumed everything it touched. It was powered by thick, sticky fuel designed to burn hotter and longer than any battlefield flame before it. Inside, crew worked in brutal heat, surrounded by napalm tanks and pressurized fuel lines. One hit could turn the Zippo into a fireball, but they still climbed in, again and again, because infantry couldn't clear caves. Airstrikes couldn't hit what was hidden. Only one thing could. The Zippo was more than a tank. It was a torch, and on Iwo Jima, it was about to be unleashed. Deep inside the rocks of Iwo Jima, nearly 500 Japanese soldiers held a cave complex the Americans simply called impossible. Grenades had bounced off its walls. Flamethrower troops had tried and died. Mortar, airstrikes, artillery, nothing worked. Every time the Marines got close, they were cut down by hidden machine guns and snipers firing from unseen cracks in the rock. It was a death trap. Then, the order came. Bring in the Zippo. One tank. One shot at breaking the fortress. As the sun rose, the M4A3R3 rolled forward, its treads grinding over scorched black ash. Marines crouched behind it, using its steel body for cover. Japanese defenders opened fire. Bullets pinged harmlessly off thick armor. The Zippo didn't flinch. It crawled to the mouth of the cave. Stopped. For a second. The battlefield went silent. Then it opened fire. A roaring jet of flame burst from the barrel, longer than any man could run. Napalm thundered into the darkness. The heat was instant, unbearable. It sucked the air out of the tunnels. Fire curled through chambers. Screams echoed through stone. Within seconds, the entrance was an oven. And behind that fire, silence. The tank backed away slowly. Smoke poured from the cave. Nothing came out. 500 defenders had stood their ground, but they had never faced weapon like this. What happened inside that cave was never filmed, but the men who stood outside never forgot what they saw. The napalm didn't just burn. It flowed like liquid death. It crept along the cave floor, up the walls, through the tunnels. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to breathe. The intense heat turned the rock walls into ovens. Flesh burned, air vanished, metal twisted. Some Japanese soldiers tried to escape, only to be cut down by waiting riflemen. Others hid, some suffocated, some, according to later reports, buried themselves alive to escape the flames. The firestorm didn't just kill, it broke the spirit. When Marines moved in later to clear the site, they found silence, blackened weapons, burned out bunkers, Odie's charred fused to the rock, frozen in their final moments. One officer called it a crematorium made of stone. For the crew inside the Zippo, it was just another mission. But for those who saw the aftermath, it was something different. This wasn't war the way they knew it. This was pure destruction delivered by one machine. The Marines who followed the Zippo into that scorched cave system didn't cheer. They didn't smile. What they saw inside left them quiet, shaken. Rifles lay melted into the rock. Helmets blackened and empty. The smell burned metal, flesh, and fuel hung in the air like smoke that wouldn't leave. One Marine said it felt like walking into hell. Only hell had walls. Survivors from other parts of the island spoke of the flame tanks with fear. Even Japanese soldiers trained to die in battle were terrified of being burned alive. Letters found after the war revealed their dread. Some wrote that they'd rather charge into machine guns than face another burst of fire. And for the men inside the Zippo, they did their job, but they knew what they carried. They heard the screams, felt the heat from their own weapon. They sat on tanks full of fuel, one bullet away from a fiery death themselves. Some became quiet, others didn't talk about it at all, not after the war, not ever. Because when you've seen men vanish in flame, their single quotes has nothing left to say. War is never clean, but flame makes it personal. Bullets kill fast. Explosions can be over in an instant. But fire lingers, spreads. It tortures even among American troops. The flamethrower was feared not just by the enemy but by those who used it. Some Marines admitted it felt wrong, even when it saved lives. But on Iwo Jima there was no room for mercy. The caves were too deep, the enemy too determined. The cost of clearing them by hand was measured in blood, so the Zippo kept rolling. Was it cruel or was it necessary? That question haunted many long after the island was taken. Historians still debate it. Some call it a war crime, others call it survival. Because in the dark corners of that island, the choices were simple: burn or be buried. And for those in command, the decision wasn't about right or wrong, it was about ending the killing by whatever means it took. The M4A3R3 Zippo didn't win the war alone. But in places like Iwo Jima it changed how battles were fought and how they were survived. Its impact was brutal, but clear. Japanese resistance crumbled faster when the flame tanks rolled in. Fortified positions that once took days to capture fell in minutes. And yet, the Zippo was never meant to last. After the war, most were scrapped. Flamethrower tanks were seen as too cruel, too dangerous even for war. Public opinion shifted, technology changed, and in time, America left flame weapons behind. But for those who fought in the Pacific, the memory of the Zippo never faded. It was the weapon you never wanted to face, the one you prayed was on your side. Today, only a few remain in museums, silent, cold, empty, but once on black sand. Under fire they roared, and the world burned around them. In the end, the battle for Iwo Jima was won, but at a terrible cost. Nearly 7,000 Americans dead, over 20,000 Japanese defenders killed. Many never surrendered. Many were never even found. And in the middle of it all, a weapon that came to symbolize something deeper than destruction. The Zippo wasn't just a tank, it was a message that no cave was safe, that no bunker was beyond reach, that fire could go where bullets couldn't. For the men who faced it, there was no defense, and for the men who used it there was no forgetting. One tank, 500 enemies, steel, fire, and fear rolling forward on treads, leaving silence behind. This was not just a weapon of war. It was war in its rawest form, and its flame still casts a shadow to this day.